This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
If he needed to go, being in a wheelchair may not have been the best solution.
Nick Morgasen.
I thought it was more with Mickey Callaway. I didn't think the whole organization is a garbage pail nightmare and a train running off the tracks to nowhere.
And Nick Fodera.
Would you want to take a field and play a silly children's game when the city's about to go up like a tinderbox?
Empty the Bench starts now.
We are pasty white guys in the sports show on Facebook Live.
Welcome to Empty the Bench, episode number 82. I'm Tom Albano, along with Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen. Gentlemen, about that little intro, Nick's little quote about being pasty white guys hosting a Facebook Live show that you mentioned last week. Good show last week, by the way. We have a little development on that, so we're not going to be on Facebook Live anymore.
Wait, where'd that news come from?
Out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. So if you didn't, go ahead.
Okay, if you didn't know, if you didn't see all our plastering across social media yesterday, this is going to be the final episode of Empty the Bench, at least on Facebook Live.
Let's not confuse the people. It's not the final episode ever. It's just the final episode on Facebook Live.
So after some negotiations gone wrong, maybe we'll put it that way best, Empty the Bench will be moving to Twitch. Yes, twitch.tv. The one that you all know about, like video games, and now recently other programming has over the past year or so has been coming onto it. Guess what? We will be moving our program to there. It's going to be our same normal time, Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. It'll be starting next week, Saturday, May 1st, on Twitch. Now, Facebook Live, stay liking the page because it's still going to be open to us, posting some news, posting our clips from the episode, posting Nick's meme brigade, I guess we can say, on social media. Instagram.
And my rantings.
Yeah. Instagram people, stay on Instagram. All our replays will still air on IGTV an hour or so after they air live on Twitch. But Twitch is going to be, exclusively where the show airs live for the first run.
And if all else fails, we'll just put up Nick playing video games instead.
I mean, I suck, so just, fair warning. You are not in for a good time.
Let's just put it this way. Can we just be honest for a second with what happened? Facebook was giving us a hard time with some of the stuff on our page. And I went back and forth fighting with them, and I had enough. So it was time to move off and find a platform that actually mattered. It's a younger platform on Twitch, and I think we'll have an easier time over there.
It's open.
And like Nick said, if all else fails, hey, maybe we'll do sports video games instead.
Hey, I mean, I haven't played Madden since I was 6?
Well,
So we could play MLB The Show.
Well,
we could do that too.
We could play the old Madden games. Let's not play the modern stuff, which that's absolute crap, and it's just the same game programmed year after year.
Yeah.
Did I just open up a can of worms?
Yes.
Maybe.
All right, let's go. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get right into this. So before we get into any of our major topics, let's talk a little bit about the Derek Chauvin trial, otherwise known as the George Floyd aftermath. So Derek Chauvin found guilty on all 3 charges, the 2 murder charges as well as the 1 manslaughter charge. And in the aftermath, now you guys had reported on last week, we reported last week, you guys talked about last week, that the NBA was considering if the verdicts
had gone the other way,
if even at least one of them had gone the other way and upset a lot of people, there were talks of possibly postponing a day or two's worth of games, which I think was probably going to spread over to MLB and the NHL as well.
That's not the rumor I heard. I heard that if the trial went Derek Chauvin's way, I heard they possibly would cancel the rest of the NBA season.
I probably wouldn't have ruled that out either.
First of all, now we'll get into a certain king of all assholes in a second who decided to go on Twitter and totally obliterate people, and it caused a huge trend on Twitter. We'll get to that in a minute. But I understand that the NBA players are upset. By the way, justice was finally served on a situation that was it was time. This took 3 weeks, but they only deliberated for 11 hours and came up with a verdict. So they did the right thing.
What's weird is also I heard that they were going to announce around 4:00 here or so that they were going to announce it the next day, but then all of a sudden an hour later all the verdicts
all of a sudden nothing's happening, then everything happens.
Well, then you had the other issue. When one trial ends, another incident happened on the street right after.
Yeah, less than 10 miles away.
So if the NBA canceled a few games a week, I would have said, okay, I understand. It's kind of like the bubble situation when they had that whole thing go down. But if they canceled the whole season, I would have gotten on them for that.
Well, you know what's funny? We had mentioned also at the same time last week that NBA players were pretty upset with the fact of how the schedule is, because if you guys remember the second half of the season, this has been a little more creative, I guess, maybe we
talked about it. Nick and I talked about this last week where Jamal Murray, the all-star guard of the Nuggets, got hurt because the Nuggets were playing too many games in a row.
Well, let me not
because they had COVID.
Well, I was going to say, let me not say creative, but maybe flexible. They wanted the second half of the season to be flexible because of any problems, with COVID, as you said. And if they had canceled even a day or two's worth of games, because of the social justice, but then still complain about the scheduling, I think, guys, that blame falls on Adam Silver, because if you remember when the season started, what did everybody yell? Everybody yelled bubble, because we were still in the middle of the second wave of COVID. Everybody, there was mass positives around the country. And yet for some reason, the NBA decided we were going to venture forward, even though, as far as I know, they don't have the expanded rosters and practice squads like the MLB and the NFL do. And they just have the protocols in place. And we saw how problematic the protocols, were in the first half of the season. Yeah. So the NBA has just been, let's call it for what it is. The NBA has just been a massive mess this season.
Well, I'm about to put something. I just put something in our tags there. Put that up, because I'm going to share a story that just disturbed me. Put that up, what I just put in the banners.
Okay, what is
Ohio bar owner says NBA games won't be shown at his establishment until LeBron James is expelled from the league.
That's never going to happen.
I mean, I don't blame people being upset at LeBron, and actually we can go right into this now that this story came up. What?
I do.
You don't blame? What do you mean?
I do blame people being upset at LeBron. Grow up.
No, but LeBron, first of all, and I was going to wait until later, but I'll say it now, which is LeBron put up a tweet of the cop that, which case was it? It was the Ma'Khia Bryant case, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Ma'Khia Bryant. Her name.
Ma'Khia Bryant, excuse me. And people got on him for posting the photo of the cop and maybe not having all the information and facts straight before posting it.
I mean, did he end up being right?
He ended up taking it down because people were telling him, you don't have all the facts right.
I mean,
he said, and to specify more of the tweet, that he had follow-up tweets to the deleted tweet. He said it was being used to spread more hate, which he said is not what should be done.
Okay,
you don't want that used against you.
Okay, but what is LeBron's history? We've seen him do this before, where he goes on social media, he says things because he's LeBron James, because he has power, and he can say whatever he wants, and people are just going to be like, oh, wait, he's got. It's like the NFL shield. He can't be attacked.
But people don't like him because he speaks his mind, because he is a black man, one of the most famous, if not the most famous black athlete in this country.
But that's not my issue. My issue is that he went on social media. He caused a frenzy on Twitter over this whole thing.
You might want to. I understand having done that in the heat of emotion. I get it, because it is kind of bullshit that this other shooting happened while the Chauvin verdict was coming down. But that's a story for another podcast. But still,
no, agreed. I agree with you, Nick. By the way, that athletes are allowed to be upset. I've seen a ton of athletes, black athletes, be upset. Even white athletes I've seen upset over this.
That's absolutely their God-given right. But maybe he could have waited. But you know what? It's not for me to say.
Actually, if you want me honest, sometimes we've seen LeBron, for as much as he's outspoken, for as much as he's, probably the leader of the NBA when it comes to the social justice issues and everything. Sometimes we've seen him, like I was gonna say, sometimes, when it comes to all of a sudden when the green gets involved or when the NBA titles get involved, all of a sudden he starts backing down.
But
I'll do a specific example. If you guys remember when the NBA had elected to possibly, like the Lakers and Clippers were going to withdraw from the season last season, the reports had come out. LeBron complained because he wanted the ring, which he eventually did get.
Well, which I'm not surprised by, but let's look at another situation here. Who is the head of the MVPA? Which player? Which player?
Is it? It's not Paul anymore, is it?
It's Chris Paul.
Oh, it is still Paul. Okay.
He's the one who he spoke up for all the social justice actions in the bubble. We haven't heard much from him lately, but he's been leading the charge when it comes to all these social justice movements.
Actually, that's actually an interesting point. Yeah, Chris Paul's been very silent as of late.
But you really look. The problem is not that the problem is not that they're speaking their mind.
No, I mean, that's not the problem.
That's the issue that I have with people taking issue with him. Yeah, he's going to speak his mind. What these people are not automatons, and it goes back to the whole shut up and dribble. My problem a couple of years ago.
My problem was what I was saying is, they would have taken a day or two off, or whatever, or maybe even a week off, and then they would have complained about the schedule being compact again. It's like you can't have it both ways, especially when you consider I don't understand why, but they're still on this path, that we're gonna get done in July, so that way these athletes can go over to the Olympics.
They're not gonna get done in July. Can we stop with this bullshit already when it comes with the NBA and with staying on a schedule and with the F the Olympics? I could give two craps about the Olympics at this point.
I can't believe. I was going to say, side note, I can't believe Japan's in a state of emergency, but they're still going on with the Olympics.
We might not have an Olympics at this point. What are we talking about?
I just said that.
So I'm agreeing that, first of all, Adam Silver needs to shape the F up, because right now his players are controlling him in this league. If you look at Major League Baseball, you look at NFL, and you look at NHL, the players are not running the commissioner. Okay?
It's a player. You say yourself it's a player-focused league, though.
No, but I'm saying Adam Silver is getting walked all over, getting his lunch money stolen.
But if you are going to do that, you're going to. If you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. You can't tell them to say some things, but not. You can't tell them to say this, but not that.
But I need to bring up one thing, and it might not be a very popular opinion, but do you find it ironic that when the LeBron and the China situation happened with the NBA, he was kind of silent?
Again, but that went to my point that sometimes
when it comes down to money, sometimes he's got nothing to say. But still, this is an issue where I absolutely do expect him to chime in and know what he's talking about.
And again, I'll give you some credit, Nick, in that, we're talking about the scheduling issues. And again, some of this possibly could have that Silver has to blame, because some of all of this could have been avoided, this scheduling madness, if the NBA had said, you know what, we're starting our season in the middle of a second wave, so we might as well just do the bubble for another, or do what the NHL is doing and just doing divisional play.
Well,
but
they're having scheduling issues of their own, because they're going to have to figure out where they're going to play the playoffs, because I heard the whole Canada crossing the border thing is still a problem. But
Yeah, that's still out.
right.
But with this whole NBA situation, Adam Silver needs to go to the players and say, let's work together. The NBA and the NBPA usually work pretty well together, unlike the MLB and the MLBPA, which are like a piece of meat in a bloody shark tank. They can't figure out what the hell they're doing. And if Adam Silver can't get his shit together, I don't know what they're going to do at this point.
And it's kind of scary. No, just usually like over the last few weeks, we talked about like ratings, because we were saying like the sports in general is just having ratings issues. But MLB .TV apparently has had the most subscriptions and most hours watched like it's had recently. And the NFL, I mean, the NFL is the king of ratings at this point.
Well, I'm going to let everybody in on a secret here, even though it's not really a secret, but I'll let everybody in on a secret anyway. The NBA ratings are way, way down.
No, but that's my point. Like, okay, what's going on with the NBA then?
Because people are not happy with what's going on in the NBA. The product is suffering because stars are getting hurt.
It's star-driven and stars are getting hurt.
Look at Jamal Murray, who got hurt. He's out for the rest of this
season
and half of next season.
Look at the friggin' Nets, for God's sake.
Look at.
But that's more rest. But
look at LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball was on the pace for a Rookie of the Year, and now most of the season he's spent on the injured list.
I mean, to be quite honest, and this is going to be really pathetic.
I'm defending a Ball family member. What the hell?
Oh my God!
Have you gone delusional? But we'll get back to that in a second.
Did you hit the head?
Yeah, maybe. But the Nets. Well, let me go back to the Lakers. The Lakers, Anthony Davis just came back from his 30-day sabbatical. LeBron is not back yet. And you know what the sad part is? They're probably going to win the title.
It's because they're going to be a 5 or 6 seed and play all the weaker teams.
Hey, you want the ultimate irony? The Knicks are doing well.
Well, what are they on a 9-game winning streak, I think, as we speak now? But
hey!
And by the way, Julius Randle has to be considered for an MVP run. He's averaging like 30 to 35 points a game in a Knicks uniform. Hey, Melo, did you do that in a Knicks uniform? I don't think so.
I mean, we're getting a little bit off track here, so let's see what we can do.
And by the way, if you want a scoring update, the Knicks are leading the Raptors 105-90. So they with about 7 minutes left in the fourth, so they're on track to win another game.
Guys, get used to it. They're going to have a long winning streak like they did last season.
Except that in the offseason, they're going to end up making a trade for a star because that's Dolan's specialty.
Well, the trade deadline passed already, so it doesn't matter.
I said in the offseason.
Yeah, they're going to end up with Bradley Beal, who's going to suffer in New York because he doesn't belong there.
And we're going to lose.
Noah.
All right, where do we go?
All right, speaking of getting hit in the head.
Oh, no.
So, this was one of the big stories going into last week. We figured that our boy, Mr. Albano here, was going to be covering it. So, you know what?
I was I covered it a little bit, but
wait
not
a minute.
as much.
I need to say one thing. Your tweet was hilarious, by the way.
Which one?
No, I'm talking about the one where you said, "What did you expect?"
Yeah, what did you expect? Okay, so
yeah, context is necessary. Let's break this down.
So Jake Paul, who we know is one of the Paul brothers and has been taking on the professional boxing route, ended up winning his second fight back in November on the undercard of Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. That, if you guys remember, that was the knockout of Nate Robinson.
Yeah.
That was pretty trash. So now Jake Paul headlined a card last week taking on Ben Askren. Ben Askren, who was a champion in Bellator MMA and won championship. And Ben had a very, let's call it a lackluster run in the UFC.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, I just want to clarify. This was the Triller fight.
Yes.
Stuff, right?
So Triller is the same company that promoted the Tyson Jones fight. So it was pretty much kind of the same atmosphere as that. So a lot of celebrity involvement, a lot of the musical acts, a lot of the old school rap acts. You didn't get a lot of in-ring action. Let's put it that way.
Isn't it true that Snoop Dogg actually calls the fights also?
Snoop Dogg
was there.
Snoop Dogg called a couple of the fights. Actually, one cool thing he did at the Tyson Jones one, he called the Paul Robinson fight, did a little concert afterwards, and then got back on commentary to call the Tyson fight.
Now,
which is actually really cool.
I heard there was a controversy with Snoop also. Did you hear that?
So Dana White actually went on one of the Mike Tyson podcast actually and said he would bet $1 million on Askren.
Two, I thought.
Well, that's where the Snoop Dogg challenged him to do $2 million. I don't know if White officially answered that. I hadn't seen anything that said White officially answered it. Jake Paul. Okay, so let's get to the fight result before we get to that part. So Jake Paul ends up knocking out Ben Askren in only 2 minutes. Now, Ben Askren, the thing about him is he was more of a wrestler. He was known more for his wrestling and grappling in MMA than he was in his fists. So he gets knocked silly with a punch, goes down. He beats the count, but the referee sees something he doesn't like and waves it off. First round TKO. And Askren ended up leaving the ring on his own power. But yeah, Paul won that fight. He actually got a pretty good payday. I think it was near $1 million. Askren went home with 500,000
plus pay-per-view.
Right, plus the pay-per-view points. So actually, let's get to the Dana White part first, because I was telling that story. So at the end of the pay-per-view, they do the post-fight interview with Paul. They're signing off, and the pay-per-view ends with Snoop Dogg yelling like, "Dana White, where's my money? Dana White, where's my money at?"
That was the funniest thing ever. I saw a video of that.
Snoop Dogg on commentary is the fucking best. As much as I am not a fan of the celebrity boxing being the focus of boxing, I love Snoop Dogg on commentary. He is hilarious.
I mean, I definitely would love to see him. If we could get him to record a commentary track on a lot of the classic boxing fights, I mean, I would pay money.
Why limit it to boxing? Why limit it to boxing?
Let's let him do everything.
NFL game.
Let's let him do everything.
Let him call an NFL game or an MLB game.
I'm Snoop Dogg, and I'm here to say
I would pay to hear that.
All right, so the fight, of course, has fixed allegations because of how quick it was finished.
Well, there is one video. I mean, I thought it was a fix, but then I saw the video from...
I mean, the punch landed clean.
Well, wait a minute. I saw the video from Mark Raimondi, who was the guy who who's a boxing analyst for ESPN, I think.
He's an MMA guy, actually.
Okay, MMA guy for ESPN, and you can clearly see he got hit in the cheek, in the face.
It was a good punch.
It was a good punch. It was a solid punch.
But wait a minute. Jake Paul was celebrating a little too much.
Yeah, a little much.
I mean, it's the Paul brothers. What do you expect?
He went down like Glass Joe in Punch Out. So
yeah. I mean, it is kind of ironic, Okay, so one of the things, because I wrote a couple of articles about this fight for Fansided. Here's an irony for you. In November, when Nate Robinson got knocked out by Paul, Ben Askren put out a tweet yelling at Nate Robinson for doing this same thing. So,
that's the irony. I saw that whole thing happen, and I'm like, wait a minute. You called him out, and then you got knocked out.
And you lasted in less time than Nate Robinson.
By the way,
not even. I'll say at least Ben Askren is an MMA fighter. The Nate Robinson's not in the combat game.
Yeah. By the way, Ben Askren needs to stay off the donuts.
I was just gonna say, well, Ben Askren hadn't fought since October 2019, and then
wait a minute. No. I don't want to give that excuse, because remember, I told you that he went on Dave Portnoy's podcast, and Dave questioned him about were you training?
I was gonna say, Ben, maybe it's now time to stay away from the ring and the cage and everything from good. This was kind of embarrassing. I'm sorry.
I mean, going through Twitter post the fight, which is interesting exercise. It really is, because fight Twitter's nuts. It's like Rangers Twitter after happy hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say, welcome to boxing and MMA Twitter.
Actually, it's kind of like Yankees Twitter after they go off on a terrible loss.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the word tomato can more often than I could be in the Red Pack factory and would not hear the word tomato can more often than I did that night.
By the way, if Ben Askren's going to fight like that, I feel like I could fight him in the ring, for crying out loud.
So, anyways,
I would pay to see that.
So, anyways, my problem again is not the fact that Ben Askren got finished in the first round. My problem is I saw people complaining about what they about.
This
what
made
they
me laugh. Your
$50.
Your tweet made me laugh.
Again, this is the same company that brought us the Tyson Jones fight, which also had the music and the celebrity focus. This is, and you saw the freak show fights, like Frank Mir, an MMA legend, but is like one of the old school, like 2000s guys. So he's old as hell, stepping into a boxing ring for the first time.
By the way,
Paul Askren. No, I'm sorry. It's just, what did you expect? Did you expect Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier to come up?
That part of the tweet made me laugh. Seriously.
You expected Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, to be dug up, put in time machines, back into their 1970s prime, and in the ring for Fight of the Century 2? No. What did you think your $50 was going to? Congratulations. You got what you paid for.
Hey, Nick. Wait a minute. Nick, on the last episode of Facebook Live, Tom has finally come out of his shell. Look at it.
Yes. There's that Tom. I know.
But I wanted to say one.
It's like suing the Wizard of Oz because you don't realize he's actually a guy behind a curtain.
I was going to say one thing. When you have to have Justin Bieber and Pete Davidson in the same room for 3 or 4 hours.
Pete Davidson was taking the crap out of the event.
Exactly. That's my point.
I mean, again, you summed it up. What did you expect?
What did you expect? By the way, so you mentioned me as the Wizard of Oz, so don't pay any attention to this man behind the curtain.
Wow.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I actually have some breaking news I have to report to you, and I'm actually breaking this to Nick and Nick for the first time. There's going to be some changes in the our podcast networking. I know we just made the announcement about Twitch and everything, but this is going to be my last show on Empty the Bench. And by the way, Nick, Kyle will be leaving your show. We're going to be departing to form a super podcast.
Whoa! Wait, when was I going to know about this?
Yeah, when was I going to know about this?
Oh, wait a minute. I just been informed we have a lot of backlash, so we're going to have to cancel that.
Yeah.
Nick was very confused. So, well, we're not a podcast that talks about soccer or what the rest of the world calls football.
But this was just so important that we had to kind of.
We have 5 billion reasons to talk about this whole story.
Yeah. So, for
wait a
those
minute.
of you,
Where do we begin?
This whole story was so important that Conor McGregor almost was thinking about buying Manchester United.
He actually tweeted that he was thinking about buying it.
Yeah, go check. He did.
He teased. He's like, "Hey guys, what do you think about me buying Manchester United?"
Sponsored by Proper 12.
No.
Probably.
Oh God, So again, let's see if we could try to break this down for those of us who don't know football.
So basically, what happened was Tom, name the major teams again.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you want me to read my friend's message word from word?
Well, don't read it word for word. Just give us the major teams that were involved.
All right. I'll still shout him out. Shout out to Corey for basically breaking this down to me and the rest of our fantasy baseball players. So, 12 of the best teams in Europe announced that they were going to be leaving the Champions League, one of the biggest soccer leagues over in Europe, to form their own version where they would make a lot more money and not have to deal with the smaller clubs across
via revenue sharing.
Yes.
Well, the overhead also.
The teams involved were going to include some of the teams that, even if you're not familiar with soccer over there, some of these teams. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man U, Tottenham, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Juventus.
Think of this as, if you want a sportive example, Major League Baseball. The Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Dodgers,
White Sox,
the Phillies.
All the major market teams, basically.
And what happened was I think Chase got involved, was going to be the major sponsor, right? Because they were friends with the teams or whatever.
Well, I will quote my friend on this word for word. It's being mostly driven by greed / American ownership in these teams, and JP Morgan, who is great friends with Man United's owners.
See, so it's always
the Henrys, right?
I believe so. Yes.
This is all politics of money.
And they
all
over
again.
if you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, so the goal was to have 15 teams in the Super League. They would have no relegation. Very quickly, I'll just say. So for those of you who don't know, over in Europe and a bunch of, I guess some of the other countries would have it too, and continents would have it too. So I don't know how if I don't know 100%, but I know in leagues like the Champions League, how it works is you'll have like Tier A, Tier B, and Tier C. And at the end of the season, the bottom teams in Tier A would be relegated down to Tier B. The top teams in Tier B would be promoted to Tier A.
I like
and
it.
The same thing would happen in B and C. So I will now quote again basically what the problem is about here. So obviously, I mean, it sounds good on paper, but like if Arsenal, like actually my friend says, sucks every year, is it right to keep, another team out of this, But I'll quote him on this. I'll quote him on the second half of where the problems come in. Quote, the problem is that a lot of the bigger teams will keep all the money and the sport as a whole in Europe will suffer big time. If the big teams stay out of the Champions League, the smaller leagues across the continent will not get their respective draw of European money, and more teams will have to cease operations. We did see some clubs and teams cease operations during the COVID pandemic. The history and tradition of these leagues across decades would be basically thrown away for money. If you guys remember, he actually used the example of a couple of years ago when Leicester was like a 5,000 to 1 underdog and basically won the league. The advantages, according to my friend, there would be top clubs playing each other every week on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and the players at those clubs would be making a lot more money than they already do. So you'd be seeing like at least weekly, and if not 2 times a week, some of the top teams in soccer playing one another.
There's one problem with this theory, though, which if you only have top teams playing against one another, what's going to happen to half of them?
They're going to be losing teams.
So this really doesn't work in theory. And by the way, this is like, and I heard this on Barstool, so Nick, try to keep your head together when I make this next statement, which is, I was listening to some Barstool guys, and they said this is like if the Mets and Jacob deGrom decided to go into that Super League with all the top teams we mentioned in the market, and they played in both leagues, and say that Jacob deGrom and the Mets were playing better in the Super League that they made over Major League Baseball. What do you think they're going to do?
They would just focus on the Super League.
Yeah, go to the Super League.
You're going to abandon Major League Baseball. This is the same thing. But I did hear, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong on this story, is if they had gone to the Super League, they would have been exiled from everything else.
UEFA and FIFA were pissed about
this. They were going to exile the teams, I heard.
They were going to basically they wouldn't be those players and teams wouldn't be allowed to participate in stuff like, the European Cups and the World Cup, basically.
But
all the big tournaments. But
in theory, that would actually be cutting off their nose to spite their face at the same time.
Right, because if you exile all the big teams or all the big teams leave, when it comes to like revenue sharing and stuff, the Champions League is going to be pretty worthless.
I'm telling you right now, Man U is one of the biggest teams in all of soccer. If you say to them, F you, we don't need you anymore.
Not just all soccer.
Well,
all sports.
Right. But in general, I'm saying they're up there with the Yankees and the Cowboys as the most expensive franchises in all of sports. So if UEFA and FIFA say goodbye to Manchester U, you might as well say goodbye to the profits at this point.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it sounds fun on paper, but this is one of those ideas where it's like on paper and reality are too far worlds apart.
I mean, if you think about it, like I said, if the Yankees and the Mets, let's go shorter scale. So Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Phillies and Cubs. Say they created a section of a Super League away from everybody else. Could they obviously make more money? Yes, but at the same time, they need the rest of the league because the fans are what make up the ticket revenue.
Right, and everybody loses in that case.
Everybody does lose in that, but I don't think it ever occurred to them that class warfare, but soccer was not really a good idea. But again, I mean, I think there's a fundamental disconnect between the American owners and the Europeans who actually, because they see it in terms of.
I was gonna say, well, keep in mind,
why not make the most money?
I mean, I was gonna say you cannot compare the MLS to the Champions League.
No,
you don't. You absolutely don't.
I say I like the MLS, but it's not the Champions League. It's not the World Cup.
But you agree with me that there is a disconnect.
Yes, definitely. All right, so let's get to the rest of the story. Basically, in other news, we have a couple of NBA headlines that maybe our friend here, Nick Morgasen, will like to talk about. I think we might have
broke him.
Oh, no. Well, this does involve his Nets, and this does involve Kevin Durant, so...
Why do I feel like every other week, like when we were talking about Deshaun Watson, and I'm not making a joke about it, but I'm just saying, like, Kevin Durant now becomes the headline every other...
Kevin Durant moves into that role, basically, that we talk about every week.
First, it was Kevin Durant and Michael Rappaport in a all-out fisticuffs, and now it's Kevin Durant going on a podcast, which I had to explain to the guys who have never heard of it. It's a podcast called $1 Million Worth of Game, which is a major podcast, part of the Barstool Sports Network. And Kevin Durant is on there as a guest. I forgot to pull the audio. I'll post it on our page again.
Breaking news, the Knicks have defeated the Raptors. Their win streak is now at 9.
Oh, my. You know what? In Empty the Bench history, we have a long, proud history of taking L's. Give us your L's. We deserve it.
I will be happy to take this L.
Speaking of taking L's, you were saying.
God. Okay, so Kevin Durant goes on $1 million worth of game, and the guys are asking him, name your top 5, I think it was top 5 teammates.
Yes. And
so he starts listing them. He says Steph Curry. Well, I think he says Kyrie Irving first, which kind of confused me, but because Kyrie Irving, in my opinion, is not anywhere near his best teammate.
Well, I was going to say, the Nets is just kind of getting started. Well, I say that, but they only have like 2 or 3 years to win a title.
Right. Well, we'll see how it goes. But so he says Kyrie Irving, obviously Steph Curry, because if he didn't say Steph Curry, he'd be thrown off the face of the planet. Klay Thompson. Who are the others? I forgot the rest of the names. I'm going to have to look them up.
James Harden.
Oh, James Harden. And then he says the name that totally made me laugh on the whole list was Serge Ibaka. And I'm like, there's a name missing here.
I was going to say, when he started in Oklahoma City, because everyone forgets that he and Harden actually played in Oklahoma City, there was a third guy. There was a third top draft pick that helped led the Thunder to an Eastern Conference title. Who was that?
I think his initials are RW.
You mean the guy who actually stayed as loyal as possible to that franchise?
The guy who averages a triple-double every season?
You mean Russell Westbrook?
Him. That guy. Who's somehow trying to keep it together in Washington. But that's a whole other issue. And people were saying afterwards, like, he corrected himself afterwards. Like, of course, $1 million worth of game in Barstool would post the clip and stop it right after to make it look like he said it. But if you watch the whole clip, that was no accident, what he did there. Come on.
I was like, you think there's... I was going to ask, you think there's some beef there?
There's been beef since he left for Golden State.
It's a meat factory in this case, but I think he's at the point where he's gone from aggressive to passive aggressive so quickly you would think he was a Midwestern mother. So
You say that, and all I can think of, because we were just talking about the big trio of Oklahoma City, I think of that gif of James Harden rolling his eyes and dramatically walking off.
Wait a minute. I'm about to steal a line from the Dan Levitard show with Stu Gatz that used to be on ESPN radio, okay?
Okay.
According to Stu Gatz, he would say that certain players haven't won any rings in his personal record book. Well, this is the one rare time I'm going to agree with Stu Gatz. He has not won any championships in my personal record book. Okay.
I was going to say, as in like titles were bought, or not, he's just not a good person.
No, meaning that Steph Curry had to carry his ass in Golden State, and basically,
I was going to say, I always say that even though Kevin Durant won those rings, and even though Kevin Durant was a big player, might have the MVPs, Golden State, that's Steph Curry's team. That
Kevin Durant is a playoff bust. Okay, in my opinion, he just shows up wherever the super team is. Oh wait, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Hey LeBron, how are you?
Of course, you. What?
I mean,
you always find a way to transition to LeBron.
No, but I'm serious. LeBron went to play in Miami with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Look at what Kevin Durant did. He went and he played with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green.
I mean, that's the lifestyle of the NBA as an entity right now.
But at the same time, Kevin Durant, that was no accident right there. I forgot. No, you didn't. You're a pathetic disgrace of a human being, okay? That's my opinion on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant might be a good basketball player, but as a human being, he's a 0 out of 10.
Oof.
And that's a little harsh, but
no, it's not. Because look at the track record over the past months. I'm serious. He gets into fights. Do we really need to go back to whatever episode it was and look at the nasty things? And I don't mean nasty as in curses. I mean nasty things he was calling Michael Rappaport, even though Michael Rappaport is an asshole in every regard. Those things were disgusting.
They were.
And of course, the league did nothing because, again, like LeBron, Kevin Durant is a star, so stars don't get hit ever. You know what? I would challenge Kevin Durant to a fight if I could.
I know you would.
Let's lighten up a little bit. I mean, this is still a big violation of suspension, but here we go again with the NBA. A player, actually, in this case, 2 players, Kevin Porter Jr. and Sterling Brown, in violation of health and safety protocols. Why? They went to a strip club.
No, was it for the boobs or was it for the breakfast?
For the wings. No, I think it's for the wings.
I mean, at a certain point, we've argued about this before. Why aren't you following health and safety protocols? I understand. And have players been vaccinated yet?
Not yet.
Not
By the way,
NBA.
oh wait, I'm hearing something in the distance. Oh, the chicken wings are ready. Okay.
I thought you were going to hear stripper music in the background.
Oh, please don't do that. Don't start pole dancing.
This is a no pole dancing zone. But what's weird about this whole situation, guys, there's actually a story that led to this story. Okay? Now, do you know what I'm talking about or no?
No.
So Sterling Brown was actually assaulted out near this very club. That's where the story, where this came out from. He got attacked at the club. But then it was reported that Kevin Porter Jr. broke health and safety protocols going to the strip club, and Sterling Brown was there with him.
So he got assaulted and went to the strip club at 2 different times, or
no? He got assaulted.
This was all, as in, I think Nick's saying that this was all in one go.
But it came out that they were at the strip club, but he actually got assaulted at the strip club, which led to this other story coming out that they broke the healthy and safe protocols. Yes.
I mean, oof.
I mean,
I just-
where is it when I need it?
Curb your strip clubbing.
I can't. It's so bad. The NBA can't control its players. That's why it's player driven, right?
So, are we ready for an irony, gentlemen? One of our
Yes.
last topics of today. As that's going on, tonight is UFC 261, which is going to take place not at that empty UFC Apex in Las Vegas, not in Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, but in Jacksonville, Florida. So this is going to be at the same arena where last year they had their first shows back after the forced 2-month hiatus. But it will be in front of a full capacity crowd, 15,000 fans, sold out, COVID protocols optional. There will be no mask mandate. There will be no social distancing.
And where is this taking place again?
Nope.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh,
Yes, Florida.
I was going to say that I was going to thank Governor Abbott for his service.
No, this is DeSantis.
My
No,
head
but-
hurt.
No, but this is from Governor Abbott opening up Texas, so now everybody else thinks they can do it too.
Well, Florida has never.
We broke Nick.
Nick, Florida has never been one to shut everything down during this pandemic. We've seen it
Stop
from
making
year
Florida look bad, Florida. What are you doing? I mean, I wouldn't have expected better from Dana White, because Dana White really doesn't care about people's health if it means money out of his pocket. So, but oh my God, oh Jesus, oh dear God in heaven, this is.
Do you put it past?
You know what? No.
What?
This is going to lead to people getting sick. This is
Of
going to
course
lead to
it is.
people getting sick, and it's not funny. It's not
So,
funny.
so guys, on the back of the tickets, if you have seen the UFC 261 tickets, it pretty much says, it's that thing with the risk. What's it called? That you basically know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, if you're making them sign a waiver.
You know what this reminds me of, gentlemen? This reminds me of and I know that this is a potentially serious issue. I know that you hate this issue, Nick, but if I can make one funny, this reminds me of the scene from Shrek, where Lord Farquaad is up on the platform. The knights are about to do battle for the winner to go rescue the princess. And he says, and I quote,
die.
but it is a risk I'm willing to take.
But that's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
That's so bad, but it's so true.
I mean, he's basically using people, his own residents in a lot of cases, as a meat shield, and I really, to line his pockets, and if anybody gets sick and dies, it's going to be on him. But are him and DeSantis going to take the blame?
You expect them to take blame? Come on now.
I mean, I was going to say, if we're talking about the history of the COVID pandemic and the UFC in sports, credit where credit is due, Dana was the first one back. They managed, I'll say there were big struggles at first, but, they managed to right the ship. They basically controlled the sports world for like a good 2 months. It was just them and WWE and AEW.
Yeah, but just because you were there, you were the first to arrive, doesn't mean you should be the first to leave.
You know what?
Understand what I'm saying?
You know what though? I think I remember something I saw on the back of the UFC ticket. It was an acronym for UFC: Uniform Fire Code.
Oh God!
Because they're gonna have to set the alarms off every time someone gets sick inside that arena.
I mean, it's gonna feel very, as someone who's about to cover this, and if I can throw a cheap plug, go to my YouTube channel, Talavano MMA, at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. Me and According to Woods will be breaking down all the fights, and I'm excited for this card. It's gonna feel very weird to hear fans, a full capacity crowd again in MMA, and I guess it can be a welcome sight. But at the same time, if you're asking me personally, I'm not going to go to, one of these events in attendance without protocols until this pandemic is freaking over. So you guys do you down there in Florida. I'll be watching from the comfort of my own home.
You know what? You know how desperate I want to go to a baseball stadium. I've been dying.
I am too, to be honest.
I usually travel to 2 stadiums a year to see different places. I couldn't go. I'm finally getting my second vaccine on May 1st, by the way, so I'll be able to. Not that I'm going to go as soon.
I was going to say, I'll be fully vaccinated. I mean, I got the second vaccine, but the 2 weeks are up like next week, May 1st, and it's like, I'm not going to be dropping my mask anytime soon. Still,
No.
And I'm not going to, book the next flight to Angels Stadium or to Dodger Stadium or anything like that.
Trust me, my father and I, who traveled to all the stadiums, we were supposed to go to St. Louis and Kansas City on the same trip. We can't do that now.
No.
Oh, God, it hurts.
All right. Actually, there is one more thing to talk about before we sign off, guys. Just to mention it, it's almost draft day. NFL draft is on Thursday, first round, and then Friday the second and third round, Saturday rounds 4 through 7.
So I would imagine most of what we see, our first episode on Twitch is going to be breaking that down. But what do we expect?
By the way, did you see who's hosting the NFL draft?
Oh,
did you see?
Oh no! Just
Come
say the
on,
name.
kids.
Just say the name.
Well, wait a minute. Who do you think it is?
I don't know, but it's gonna be somebody I hate, isn't it?
Hello, Mike Greenberg. How are you?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like a Paul brother or something.
That would have been funnier, actually.
Oh, God.
All right, so I was gonna say I guess we'll just leave off on we know that the Jaguars are gonna pick Trevor Lawrence first. We know that the Jets are gonna pick Zach Wilson second.
By the way, out of all the quarterbacks, they're saying that Zach Wilson's going to be the biggest bust. So, good job, Jets. Way to go.
Justin Fields somehow has slipped from being the Jets pick to now maybe not even being in the top 10 somehow.
Hey, Todd, can you give me an analysis on that?
You have, as I say, and now there's Mac Jones might get picked by San Francisco and then pull a Patrick Mahomes and sit behind Jimmy G this season before taking over.
I heard the Patriots were interested in him too.
The Patriots might get Jimmy G back. You have the Falcons open to trading number 4. You have the Panthers willing to trade their top 10 pick. The Giants may be trading number 11. You have there's a chance that we might have 5 quarterbacks taken in the top 10.
Wait a minute. This is like a lottery within a lottery.
Yeah, this is going to be the most random NFL draft I think we've had in a while.
My God.
I mean, where is the draft being held? Oh, wait. Wait a minute. Did you hear the news that Commissioner Goodell got his vaccine?
Yeah,
he can hug the players. He can hug the players.
It's going to be 50,000 people in attendance each day. Face masks, which I don't get. Face masks, however, will be required. Big WILL. And like you said, Roger Goodell has his vaccines, and he will be able to hug the players.
Yes, because that's what I'm looking forward to when I get drafted.
I was going to say, they get to hug, and then they get to spin the wheel of discipline. That way, when they get their first suspension, they're going to know what it is off the bat.
But why spin the wheel? They already know they're going to get fined 2 game checks.
It's really more of a ceremony thing. It's the reason why England still has a queen. It's more of a,
you know what? They should make a solid gold trophy that you get a participation trophy for each, but it's 2 game checks that are made into a solid gold trophy.
And it says, "Thanks for spinning the wheel of discipline."
There you go.
Come back again and you've done something wrong.
But all right. I think we're just about done here. Flip that other banner up one more time.
One more time. Goodbye, Facebook Live. It's been nice knowing you.
Hey, Mark Zuckerberg, you suck.
So we are going to be This is the last episode on Facebook Live, so make sure you tune in to us next week.
Hey, wait, you want to say the liner one more time that you said in the promo?
Actually, something very important, guys. We should say where we're going to be found.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're found on Twitch, twitch.tv/ETB Sports.
Follow us. It's very important. 50 followers is the number we need to hit right off the bat. So
twitch.tv/ETB Sports. And like I said at the end of that commercial you were referencing, changing platforms. It's quick and easy.
by the way, that promo took a lot of timing and a lot of effort on my part. I don't know how I got. I love that you're holding. I can't. But that, if you saw that, basically we traded everything for Twitch.
Yeah, but I don't know why we had the collected works of H.L. Mencken. He's really racist, so we couldn't keep those things around anymore.
Which is why we traded it away. Just like when the Heat traded away what's his name after his racist remarks.
Yeah.
Leonard, no, or I think Miles Leonard.
Yes, Miles Leonard.
Yeah.
Myers Leonard. Thank you.
God. All right. Well, make sure you join us next week, Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, as it says right there, twitch.tv/ETB Sports. As I said, we need to get to 50 followers. That's the big first hurdle we need to get to. So follow. If you don't follow, I'm coming to your house and I'm beating you up.
Wow.
Don't threaten them. Don't threaten them, Morgasen.
But like we were saying, make sure that if you stay liking the Facebook page, and we'll still give you all the memes, all the clips. Instagram people, you'll still get the replays. Twitter people, well, you know what we do on that platform. But yeah.
By the way, congrats to the Twitter. We're almost at 700 Twitter followers. By the way,
it's scary. It's completely scary. But yes, Empty the Bench next week, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. But beginning next week, May 1st, it's at twitch.tv/ETB Sports. So for Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen, I'm Tom Albano, and we'll see you over on Twitch next week. Until then, take care, everybody, and goodbye permanently, Facebook.
Good night, everybody!
goodbye, Facebook.